Hey, what's up folks? Chris here. Thanks again for checking out my channel. I am Toys. I also have an Instagram by the same, so feel free to check out my Instagram as well, because if you follow my videos and you follow my Instagram, you know that my Instagram photos are even higher resolution and even sharper than my actual video is. My videos are pretty sharp, as most know. So anyway, this is the Hot Toys Doctor Strange from Hot Toys, which I just said. But it's a great figure. I don't know what it is with Hot Toys lately, but the more obscure figures like from the DC Universe and from Marvel, they've been knocking it out of the park. You know, Deadshot, perfect example, incredible. They killed it on the likeness, killed it on the accessories. This, Doctor Strange, once again, killed it on the likeness, killed it on the accessories. The articulation for this figure is actually really good. I'll do some quick poses for you guys, so consider this one. You know, I'll do a broader, closer shot of it. Without the box there, you know, and then I'll do some others, you know, towards the end. But you know, normally I'll give you a 360 view of the figure, and then I'll show you the accessories, which are awesome, and then we'll basically close out. I might talk, and I'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons and whatnot. So overall, I'm very, very happy with this figure. The accessories are great. You get the Mandelas, you get some colored Mandelas. The cape is posable. I think the wire could be a little bit better as far as strength, but you know, whatever. I'm sure Hot Toys had their reasons. Overall, very happy with it. You get the Eye of Agamotto. You get the Book of Cagliostro, if I'm saying that right. Going based off my comic book knowledge here right now, because I don't have the instruction booklet in front of me, so I hope I'm saying it right. What else? You get the Mandelas, which I mentioned. You get the book. You get the Eye of Agamotto, and you obviously get the cape. You get a cool diorama, which a lot of people have been asking for. D Knight mentioned that in his video as well, of another figure, not of Doctor Strange, but you know, he was one of the few people, or maybe many people, that have always been bugging the Hot Toys, you know, for the money we pay, include diorama background. Be sweet. So they have, and it's pretty cool. It's great. It definitely is not going to work really per se with the flying pose, because these higher levitating poses, unless you adjust the height, which you can do on the waist grabber, you know, so you can actually have it in line with it. Because like this, if I were to put the diorama background up, it actually levitates above the background and kind of defeats the purpose of the presentation, right? So as far as everything involved, total package, man, it's really good. So let's move in, and I'll show you the head sculpt, and we'll do what we do, right? All right, and here's a closer shot. I said I would show you this pose, so instead of saving it to the end, I might as well show you it now, since I already had it set up. So this is one pose that you can do, just to give you an idea. You know, so soak that in, and then you know, we'll get to the head sculpt. But the articulation with this figure is really good, and then what you can do with the cape makes it even more, sorry if my voice carries, but even more, even gives it a better shelf presence, essentially. Tweak that cape a little bit for you guys. So yeah, this figure is definitely badass. So let me get to the head sculpt. All right, there's a close-up of the killer head sculpt. If I were to rate that on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, no head sculpt's ever perfect, but as far as the sculpt and what you can achieve in 1/6 scale, I'm probably going to give this a 10, man. At least a 10 or a 9.6. Or a 9.7 if I want to be modest, but the fanboy in me wants to definitely give this a 10. I don't know what other folks would probably. I know there are a lot of collectors out there that are extremely critical, so you know, to each their own. But I think they did a great job, and the head sculpt's done by Viva Lai, I believe, or Lay. I always butcher these guys' names. So. Or these folks' names. I'm not sure if this is a woman or a guy. If I were to guess based on the name, Viva or Viva. Again, I could be 100% wrong how I'm pronouncing that, but it's V-I-V-A, so I'm assuming it's Viva. And the last name is L-A-I. So maybe that's a girl, maybe it's a guy. I don't know. But whoever you are, as part of Hot Toys team, incredible job. And JC Hong, once again, also did the paint application. And actually, you know what? Oh man, now that I'm thinking of it, it actually wasn't just one person who did the head sculpt on this. I think it was actually two. Oh man, and I cannot remember the other person's name now. I was thinking about this as I was looking through the credits, man. I wanted to remember. Oh my God. I can't remember. And if I did, I'd butcher the name anyway. So, but there's actually two people who did the head sculpt. So, sorry. I can't remember the other person's name, but it is what it is. So, now since we're up here, I guess, and already kind of at the neck, I might as well mention this now. Use some caution probably with the cloak, because I'm not sure if it'll stain or not. You know, people bug out, and we've had incidences with plenty of Hot Toys figures where the clothing, you know, stain the actual figure. Most recent that I can think of course, is the purple coat with the Joker. You know, staining the arms and around the shoulders and whatnot. So just use some caution. Anyone who gets this figure later on and has it for a while and then finds that it happened, you know, feel free to let me know, let other folks know. I'm on 16 Republic a lot. I'm on Sideshow Freaks as well. So feel free to drop a dime and let people know. You know, so I even though I would love to keep this this cloak on him, I'm not sure if I actually will or not. So, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of worried. I don't want it to stain, because this figure really is something special. It's fantastic. Hot Toys really did a great job. You know, I wish more folks were fans of Doctor Strange. There's not too many people. You know, the movie was pretty accurate for the most part for what happened to him. You know, those of you folks who don't know who Doctor Strange is or not familiar with him, you know, he was a very arrogant scumbag kind of doctor. So he got into a car accident. He basically fucked up his hands, and he went on a search for a cure, essentially, and that's what brought him to the Ancient One. And he had to run the gauntlet of tests and all kinds of stuff, these mystic tests, and he basically became the supreme sorcerer, essentially. So really cool character. Some of my favorite comics, honestly, with this guy were probably some of the original stories, to tell you the truth. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, his first appearance was, I think, in Strange Tales. It's either 108 or 110 or something like that, I believe. I think that was like 1963. Believe it or not, I actually had that issue, and then I sold it. Those of you who've seen some of my collection, my photos, I take a picture of some pictures of my comics every now and again with my actual figures. If I had that comic still, I would definitely be taking some photos with this figure with it, but unfortunately I sold it a while back. I inherited a lot of comics from a family friend, and I got a lot of them graded, and a lot of them I sold, a lot of them I kept. But anyway, so going back to Strange, you know, these one of the more obscure, not even really obscure characters. He's just not a big fan favorite, I guess. But Hot Toys did him justice, and I was always a fan of the comics. You know, Strange Tales, when he goes up against Baron Mordo, I believe that was the issue it happened in. And I think he finally meets Eternity as well, and then Eternity, if I remember, I think Eternity's the one who actually gives him the eye of Agamotto after he deems himself, after he basically has to prove himself worthy, he gets it. So, and then he gets the eye of Agamotto, basically to go up against, it was either Mordo or it was Dormammu. And again, I don't know if I'm saying Dormammu's right, so I've heard some people call him Dormammu or Dormammu, but I believe it's pronounced Dormammu. That's one of his, if you're a Doctor Strange lover, that's one of his arch enemies, essentially. So let's put this camera in the mode it needs to be in, and then we'll do some interior panning from the top down and show you the awesome detail work on this figure. And then we'll go from there, guys, right? So let's loosen this up a little bit and go back at a little. And we'll scroll down. And I'll zoom in on this eye of Agamotto, show you the detail on this sucker. Really cool. Tone down the exposure there a little bit. And I'll put this stationary so you guys can look at that. Detail on that's really good. It doesn't lay flat against the chest right out of the box. For some people it may, for some people it might not. You may have to manipulate it and mess with it to actually get it to lay flatter. I'm gonna do that probably over the next few days if I have time. I always say I'm gonna do things, you know, it's tough, you know, when you're a dad and whatnot, you know, as I've mentioned in some videos. But you know, awesome detail as you can see, really intricate stuff. Now, if I remember correctly, the eye of Agamotto is white magic based, and I think it has some telepathy abilities. Strange can use it to like replay events, if I remember correctly. The powers, the telepathy powers he gets from it aren't really psionic based. It's more, I guess, magical, if I'm remembering correctly. You know, I'm going back to some of my man, I haven't read a Doctor Strange comic in a while. Last time I read Doctor Strange was when he lost the eye of Agamotto left him, and then went to, I believe his name was Lord Voodoo or something like that. I think that's where it ended up, and that was like one of the last issues that I read, and kind of fell off the Doctor Strange comics for a while. Started getting into other stuff. So anyway, if I'm remembering correctly, the power is more magical based rather than psionic. So what else? I mean, I think that's all I can remember as far as the powers. I know it's got that all-revealing light ability as well. You know, the astral projection I think it can do as well. The telepathy, which I already mentioned, but well, let's move on. I can't remember. It's been a while. I'm surprised I even remembered that. So, but yeah, he got it to go up against Dormammu. It was the first time he got this thing. So as you can see, detail's killer. Zoom back out, show you the killer detail on the Mandelas, man. Oh my god. Amazing detail work by Hot Toys on this. I hope all that's coming through, because it's amazing, folks. Killer detail on this, and just the right paint application that you get that translucent glowing effect. Really good. I'll pan over here to the other one. Killer detail. Killer detail. Alright, we'll back that out a little bit, and then go down. Once again, great job on the tailoring. All those little minute details are just about there. I forget what these are called that are attached to him, but he has them in the film, and I can't remember if he had them in the comics or not, and I can't remember what the hell they're called. But they do include those, and I believe I have them on as far as the right location, as far as screen accuracy. Killer detail. And I believe, if I remember correctly, again, not really remembering correctly, it's more like more as if I felt correctly. I was grabbing the shoes. I'm pretty sure the shoes are obviously sculpted. The cloth that's wrapped around them, I believe that's sculpted as well, but I don't remember. So you know what? Instead of me being lazy, how about I just check for you right now? No, actually they're not. That isn't sculpted. Those are actually like a cloth. It's like a thin, not even like a cloth, it's like a thin, like canvasy kind of feel to it. But no, it's actually, they're not sculpted. It is actually the cloth that they use to wrap around. So I would just be careful with that. You know, when you're handling it, you don't want to fat finger it. You know. So, and going back up, give you some shots of the detail on the inside of the Cloak of Levitation. Also very, very good. Man, just look at that. I'm telling you, the detail on the mandalas are awesome. Alright, so back up to the head sculpt. So let me, I guess we'll do a right side portrait shot and, you know, go up and down and, you know, do what we do. Alright, here's the right portrait shot. Looks like Benedict from the right side, 100% to me. You know, some figures it doesn't, some figures it does. You know, that's definitely true when it came to Wonder Woman. You know, from certain aspects, Wonder Woman was incredible, and others not so much. You know, like I mentioned in that video, that sculpt was probably about 80 to 90% of the way. It's right where it needs to be. Really good. And again, I love that Wonder Woman figure, so don't think I'm knocking it. And going down, as you can see, still the same great attention to detail that we've known and come to love from Hot Toys. Look at this side of the cape again. Alright, we'll switch it around to the left portrait shot. Alright, left portrait shot. Still killer likeness from the left side as well. And scrolling down. Again, detail consistent all the way around on his belt. Everywhere it's the belt. And I believe this is actual threaded cloth, I believe. I'm not sure if it's actual plastic, but here we'll find out now. And it is a threaded cloth. Up here is as well. That's actual cloth. It's not sculpted. As you can see, the metal brackets here, well, not really metal brackets, but the metal portions that are here, these are plastic, obviously. And this is actual cloth. That's cloth. So, looks like the... Actually, you guys probably couldn't even see where I was pointing up there as far as what I was mentioning, brackets. Right up here. This portion of the belt, if we can even call it a belt, really, this is cloth. These are plastic pieces right here. This is cloth here, if you're seeing me where I'm pointing. But this is cloth. It's not sculpted. So I actually, well, I like that. That's some added attention to detail that Hot Toys didn't skimp out on. You know, sometimes they skimp out on stuff when they could actually go one way instead of going another. So again, for some reason, with the obscure characters, you know, Hot Toys knocks it out of the park. Because they could have easily sculpted that. They could have easily sculpted the cloth straps that were wrapping that goes around his boots. That could have been easily sculpted as well. But they actually went the extra mile and hand did it, essentially. So that's awesome. It's those little things, folks, those little things. Whoops, sorry, that we pay for, right? So finishing up that side, then I'll show you the back. The shoes, like I mentioned again. Okay, what we were just talking about. There really aren't many cons to this figure at all. Not that I can tell. Again, you're going to have to manipulate that a little bit, the the eye of Agamotto to get it to lay flat, but it's not that hard to accomplish. So I'm sure we can all figure it out, right? We've been in the hobby long enough. And let me show you the back. All right, here's the back, and as you can see, like I mentioned before, the Cloak of Levitation, the collar portion does touch the back of his neck. I mean, obviously you can't see it the way I have it, but trust me, it does. You know, it does touch the back of the neck, and you're just gonna have to, you know, just use caution. That's all. It may stain, it may not. You know, if we're going based on history of Hot Toys figures, it's probably more likely than not that it's probably going to stain it. So just use caution. That's all I can say. And then going down, we'll back up a little bit. Awesome detail on the cloak. They spared no expense. The wiring in it's okay. I wish they would use wires that are a little bit stronger, a little more posability. But it does the job for the most part. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe it's a factor. Maybe it has something to do with the thickness. I don't know. Maybe there's a possibility of damage. You know? I don't know. Hot Toys has their reasons, right? Maybe that's why we don't really get many good wired capes from them. But it looks like they're finally making one with the new Batman figure from Suicide Squad. However, we'll see how posable and how well it holds, the cape holds a pose. Alright, so that's the back. And let's get to some poses. Here's first simple pose. This is my "how did I do this again" pose. You know, the accessories, man, the lights of Mandela that you get really add, you know, some different dynamics to the figure, which is nice. So I'll scroll, well, not really scroll, I'll pan over, just show you the detail on them while I'm here, just so you get an idea of what they look like. Really cool. They give off this really neat, and even turning the exposure down, it's almost like they glow. So really great paint application on the green Mandelas of light. You know, and then bumping it back up, it's really cool. I mean, that's basically how it looks in hand, and you get that awesome, you know, glow. You know, like you do with the bigger, the yellow, more orange Mandelas. Really, that translucent effect is really cool. And these hook on the hands the same way as the bigger ones do. And putting these on are relatively painless. You're not going to have too many difficulties putting it on. It's pretty easy. So, really cool. Really awesome detail on the Book of Cagliostro. Whoops, sorry about that. Jacking shit up as usual. Yeah, really good detail on that. The buckle piece, which you can't see from this angle, which I'll try to show you better when I do the accessories briefly. The buckle piece doesn't come all the way out. In one of the prototype pics, it is sticking straight out, as in parallel with the open book cover, essentially. Like you would see it basically here, and it would be extended out, which it at least in the way I see it, it doesn't look like it moves. I tried, and you know what, it's pissing me off. I hate when I'm talking about shit and you're not actually seeing it. So let me rotate the figure a little bit. Sometimes I put the camera in hand and I do it, but I find it gets a little bit too shaky. So sometimes just manipulating the figure is easier. So that should give you a shot of what I'm talking about. Let me adjust the exposure on that for you so it's not so blown out. Alright, so as you can see, this little piece right here in the prototype pics extends out, like there's a little joint where it should be able to rotate and come out. It does not. At least it does. It feels like it does not, and I'm not gonna push it hard enough that it breaks, because I think it will. There definitely isn't any kind of pivot joint or anything there, so I'm not going to try it. So just be cognizant of that and be careful. And I don't know if I can zoom in any farther from where I'm at. So I lied. So I'm going to get a little bit closer. So after a little edit and cut away, that's a little bit closer detail on the book. Again, it's going to be illegible no matter what anyway, because it's supposed to be, the Book of Cagliostro is supposed to be in another language anyway. And if you do know, again, like I mentioned, feel free to comment. So that's that. And again, just be careful of trying to open this little clamp, this little clasp here all the way, because I don't think it does. It does not rotate all the way out. So I don't try it, because I'm not going to. And I pushed it a little bit. It seems pretty stiff, and I don't think it moves. So we'll just leave it at that. And all right, so let's get to the next pose, I guess. I guess I'll show you a little bit more detail in the book if that comes up here. Let me rotate him around a little bit so I can show you the outside of that. The outside cover of the book, since I'm already here. And yeah, I know that's out of focus. There you go, now it's not. Alright, still is. And that's because I am alright, and there's the book from the outside. Good detail. Nothing too fancy, but I'll brighten that up for you a little bit too. And obviously it's all sculpted, it's not made of actual book materials, so on and so forth. Alright, let's get to some other poses. Alright, and one last pose. And I forgot to mention this before, of course. This review has been a little bit chaotic for me because I'm really limited for time today. So the cape itself is magnetized. There are magnetic portions within the actual top chest portion of the suit, or his tailoring, basically, under the shirt he's wearing, or robe per se, almost, on both sides, meaning basically under here and under there. And there are magnets somewhere in here and here of the cape, so when that goes on, it sticks in place. And it makes for some good posing. So again, just be careful of the possible staining. I don't know if that could happen. This figure is 100% more dynamic with the Cloak of Levitation on him. Definitely makes the figure more dynamic and makes him pop. So between this pose and the first pose that I had, I know the second pose that I had him in was kind of stationary, more like a museum pose, but that's all I really have time for today. And you guys know me, I'm not much for demonstrating articulation in my videos, but did a few poses for you, so I hope that gives you an idea of what you can and you can't do with the figure. I'm going to briefly go through the accessories with you as well. So we'll do that really quick, and then we'll close out some pros and cons and then be done. And again, I'm sorry if this review is a little bit chaotic. I may have forgotten a couple things. I may not have. If you have questions, you know, you guys know me, I'm pretty accessible, so, and I'm very approachable. So just message me and ask me some questions. I usually get back to you 9 times out of 10. So let's go through the accessories real quick. All right, so here are the green mandalas. These are the accessories. Most of the accessories you've almost already seen on the figure itself. So I had him on the arm, on his right arm previously. The smaller one goes on first onto the forearm. Then the medium one goes on, and then the big one obviously hangs from the fingertips, goes on the same way as the larger reddish orange orangey yellow mandalas. So there's not much difference there. Very good detail, like I showed you before. Hot Toys spared no expense on that. The casting is good. The paint application is good. Gives off that glowing effect and that translucent effect. It's really, really good. So, and going mobile here a little. I already showed you the book as well, but I will hype up the exposure again and zoom in and show it to you again, just because I'm a sport, you know. So I'll show it to you one more time, and I'll put this stationary for a second. So again, with the book, don't try and open up the clamp all the way, because it'll probably break. As far as I was messing around with it, as far as me messing around with it already, it feels static, stationary. Don't try and open that clamp all the way, it's going to break. So just be careful. Again, it's not canvas or any kind of like book material. It's sculpted. Pages inside all have writing on them. It's very detailed. It's awesome. Great accessory to have. Don't open the book all the way. Just like a regular book, if you open a book too wide, you can actually break the binding on certain hardcover books. This is the same way, and especially it's an accessory that's not a real book. You will destroy it, so be careful. Just be cognizant about that. That's all. Just don't be an idiot. And getting back to the hands, one of the coolest things about this figure, as you can see, the detail on it is awesome. It recreates that damage that happened in the car, due to the car accident rather. Look at that. Killer detail. The scarring, the paint application is very, very good. These are probably some of the best sculpted hands that I have ever seen on a Hot Toys figure. They're probably the best, honestly, that I've ever seen on a Hot Toys figure, to tell you the truth. If you've seen better, man, let me know, because these are really, really good. As far as the figures that I currently own already, these are very, very good. Alright, and now I'm going to back out a little bit here. Obviously you get the Doctor Strange inspired stand. You don't get that black stand that I had, so don't think you get that. That's one of my own stands that I used. You get this diorama background, which is awesome. Don't know if I'll use it. I probably will. I'll probably set it up in the Detolf. And the other bigger, larger size mandalas, which we already showed in, I showed you in good detail earlier, so I'm not going to go through them again. There's the other one over here. And here's the closed eye Mandela, Agamotto. And again, to zoom it in for you. Really good detail on that. So you get two of those. Like I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned, you get one closed eye and you get one open. And I already told you, at least from my memory, what I could recall as far as what the abilities were. And obviously the Cloak of Levitation, it's exactly that. So you don't need much of an explanation there. And obviously you get the hip hugger to do some dynamic aerial poses. And I think that's it as far as accessories, guys. So I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, whoops. Again, sorry if this review seems a little chaotic. I'm really pressed for time. So if you have any questions, let me know. And we'll close out with some pros and cons and what I basically already expressed, sum up everything that I thought about the figure and so on. Alright, so in closing out, very happy with the figure. Pros, I guess, as far as pros are concerned, the articulation is pretty good. It's maybe a little bit above standard, above the average standard for Hot Toys. The arms, if they were straight out in front of the body, don't come across the body too well. At least not when I was messing around with it. So if you're trying to like get that arm straight out and trying to bring it across the body for maybe a more like you know, if you're trying to put the Mandelas on the right arm per se, and then trying to extend the arm out and you want it more straight, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time. It doesn't exactly come fully straight in front of the body, and if you're going to try and bring it across, it's going to be a little bit harder for you. So there may be ways around that if you really want to try and mod it, but you know, I'm lazy. I'm not really going to be trying to do any of that. Further pros for the figure: the likeness is incredible, the detail is incredible, the accessories and everything you get for $234 is pretty good. Again, it's a lesson to Sideshow when it comes to their $270 Snow Speeder Luke and the bullshit accessories and cheap piece of shit base that you got with that. You know, so we may complain per se, you know, or when it comes to Hot Toys, and I'm sure folks will complain about this too. You know, people are going to say the likeness is still off and it doesn't look like him, which is, I definitely think that's a little crazy, but Hot Toys they try to give you, I mean, they're out there to make a buck, man. It's all about money. You know, they just came out with an armored, battle damage armored Batman, which has got a few people pissed off, but they're in the business to make money. So it's got better articulation, and for me, I'll probably still get it because I like having the two representations of the character. So it is what it is. So with this for $234, I think the price is pretty fair for what you get. You get a diorama background, you get all the accessories that we already went through, you get this awesome cape, you get this the stand, you get the aerial stand, you get obviously the hip hugger so you can put them up on in aerial poses. The tailoring is awesome. You know, there's not really too many cons per se with this figure, and talking about the cons, like we already mentioned, just be careful with the cape. I'm not sure if it's going to stay in the back of the neck or not. So, again, just be aware of that. Articulation, again, better than the average Hot Toys figure, but not blow your mind fantastic. So, that could be a con as well. Other than that, that's about it. I mean, the accessory, the book is a little fragile, so just be careful with that. I don't know if I necessarily attribute that to a con, though. So, in all, I'm happy. It embodies the character from the film. It embodies him from the comic, too, as well, as far as I'm concerned. There's really not much I can complain about. I know there are folks out there that will, but, you know, to each their own. You know, don't buy the figure if you don't want it. So for $234, I think you get a pretty good deal. I know import fees for a lot of folks and everything are going to drive up the cost for some people, and that'll impact some people's opinions when it comes to getting a figure. But overall, you know, again, I can't stress it enough. I like it. I do like it. So that's really about it, guys. If you have any questions, again, apologize again if this video appeared chaotic. It did to me. Maybe just in filming. Maybe when I'm done editing, it won't seem as weird. I don't know. This review seemed kind of jacked up for me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my mind things are moving really quickly because I had to get through this review really quick. So I did some poses for you. I'm sorry if it wasn't enough. You'll get more poses out of me on my Instagram. I'll have photos up eventually up there. This video will eventually be on YouTube. If you're watching it, it obviously is now. So I guess that's it. Bye for the 5th time. Deuces, guys.